We are moving on to our final story, which is Matt Taibbi and Joe Rogan discussing the Twitter files. So I'm glad they got a chance to have this conversation because there's something here that he says about the emails in particular. I know he's had these conversations on multiple shows, but I feel like he says a little bit extra on each show that he goes on to. So if you watched him interview with Gray Zone, you watched him interview on the Jimmy Dore show, I feel like the interviews are not exactly the same. So let's go ahead and dive into this conversation here, because I thought this was pretty interesting. And the name of this video is called Matt Taibbi Surprised by FBI and Twitter's Collusion, and of course, Russia Gate.
An experience.
I've enjoyed your work with the Twitter file. I enjoy all your work, but I really have enjoyed the Twitter files. That has been some really fascinating views behind the curtain.
It's been one of the weirder, more surreal experiences of my life because, you know, as a reporter, you're always kind of banging away to try to get one little piece of reality, right? Like you might make 30 or 40 phone calls to get one sentence. The Twitter files is, oh, by the way, here, you know, take a laptop and look at 50,000 emails, you know, full of all kinds of stuff. And so it's, you know, for somebody like me, it's like a dream come true. We get to see all kinds of things, get the answers to questions that we've had for years, and it's been really incredible.
Has anything been surprising to you?
A little bit. I think going into it, I thought that the relationship between the security agencies like the FBI and the DHS and companies like Twitter and Facebook, I thought it was a little bit less formal. Like I thought maybe they had kind of an advisory role. And what we find is that it's not that. It's very formalized. They have a really intense structure that they've worked out over a period of years where they have regular meetings. They have a system where the DHS handles you know, censorship requests that come up from the states, and the FBI handles the international ones, and they all float all these companies, and it's a big bureaucracy, and I don't think we expected to see that.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Like, I did see, this was apparently a couple of days ago, and I forgot to discuss it on here. My bad. But apparently Congress actually had a hearing about this, about the Twitter files and about the FBI's role in the Twitter files as well. And Tulsi Gabbard was one of the people that spoke up about it, along with, I think it's Jamie Raskin also spoke up about this as well. But it was really interesting to me that you have this agency, which if you watch movies, or if you watch some of these TV shows where there are FBI agents, Hollywood can make it seem like if you're in the FBI, you're out here trying to catch serial killers, and you're out here trying to catch, like, you know, people who they're traveling across the country, like writing bad checks. Like, you're out there trying to catch those people. You're on this massive manhunt for fugitives. That's what Hollywood portrays the FBI lifestyle like, right? It makes it look like they're doing those types of things, right? So it's just interesting when you see this event that unfolded with the Twitter files and the FBI's role in that, because it goes to show you that, like, they're just trying to censor people. And so I wonder if some of the people who actually joined the FBI, is this exactly what they thought that they would be doing? If they thought that they were going to join, yes, the jam and criminal minds, exactly. If they thought when they joined the FBI that it was going to be like Criminal Minds, that they were going to be traveling across the country trying to track serial killers or something like that, I bet you that's probably what they thought they were going to do. And then they get there and they're like, oh yeah, we just need to track some censorship stuff that happened on social media. Really weird, right? Just found that interesting.
It's very bizarre to me that they would just openly call for censorship in emails and these private transmissions, but ones that are easily duplicated. You could send them to other people. It can easily get out. Like that they're so comfortable with the idea that the government should be involved in this censorship of what turns out to be true information, especially when in regards to the Hunter Biden laptop.
Well, it was really interesting to me too, because emails are traceable, and it's like they didn't think about these things. They didn't think about the fact that, hey, what happens if these emails are discovered? It kind of takes you back to Hillary Clinton, right? And her emails. But I feel like they didn't think about that at all. It's like, oh, don't worry about it. We're the FBI. No one's ever going to see this information. But it was kind of weird. Like when I was going through the Twitter files, and I have to check back to see if there's anything new that's been posted. But I talked about like different segments that Matt Taibbi has posted on Twitter. And one of the things that I noticed too was just like, you mean they just sent this in an email with their name? Like they didn't even try to make it look anonymous. The person's name is there, their signature. They didn't even try to hide it. So it's just, that was really weird to me that the FBI, with all the brains that they're supposed to have in that organization, that they didn't think that maybe it wasn't a good idea to send this via email. Oh, and to sign your name on it. So that was interesting.
That they would be so comfortable that they would just send it in emails.
Yeah. Well, I think that shows you the mentality, right?
Yeah.
Like that they really genuinely felt that they were impregnable, that they don't have anybody to answer to. I mean, a normal person doesn't put incriminating things in emails because we all have the expectation that someday it might come out, you know, but
that they can't be held accountable because they don't think that they will be held accountable. So they just felt like, oh, this is no big deal.
These folks didn't act that way. I mean, you see, I was especially shocked by an email from a staffer for Adam Schiff, the congressperson, the California congressman. And they're just outright saying, we would like you to suspend the accounts of this journalist and anybody who retweets information about this committee. You know, I mean, this is a member of Congress, right? Most of these people.
And same thing with Adam Schiff. He knew he wouldn't be held accountable either.
People have legal backgrounds. They've got lawyers in the office for sure. And this is the House Intelligence Committee. You would think they would have better operational security. Another moment that was shocking to me, there's an email from an FBI agent named Elvis Chan in San Francisco to Twitter, and they're setting up this signal group, which is going to include all the top sort of censorship executives at all the big companies.
By the way, he mentioned Signal. I have to say something about that really quick. There are some people that believe that these other platforms that you use, like Telegram and Signal, that those spaces can't be traced. That's not true. Signal can also be infiltrated. They can track those spaces as well, just as well as Telegram. So I just wanted to add that in there because I've been hearing people say that we all should just leave Twitter and just go over to Telegram. Telegram is also tracked. So just FYI. So Matt's about to tell you about the people going into those Signal spaces. Those things are trackable too.
And it's a Word document that has all the phone numbers of all these important executives. And the email the subject line reads phone numbers, right? And then the Word doc is just called secret phone numbers, right? And I'm thinking, this is how they taught you to do it at Quantico? Really? You know?
They don't, like I was saying, they don't even try to hide it. Like, why would you even title it secret phone numbers? The Oracle said the folk at Twitter never imagined that it would be purchased by Musk. Oh my God, they were so obvious.
No? I mean, even a journalist can't miss that. You know what I'm saying? Like, call it something else. You know, I don't know. That part of it was amazing.
So strange. It's so strange to get such a peek, Because I don't think anybody ever anticipated that something like this would happen, where Twitter would get sold to an eccentric billionaire who's intent on letting all the information get released.
Yeah, I mean, I think Elon Musk essentially he spent $44 billion to become a whistleblower of his own company.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't really fully know his motives in doing that. I think he's got a pretty developed sense of humor, though.
Yes.
And that comes through. I think he gets a kick out of seeing all this stuff come out on Twitter, which used to be the kind of the private stomping ground of all of these whiny journalists. And now here is all this information that is just horrifying to all of them. I mean, $44 billion is a lot to spend on that thrill, but I'm glad he did.
Well, he truly believes.
Do you guys think that Elon is going to keep Twitter? I'm curious. Tell me in the chat, yes or no. Or do you think he's going to sell it to someone else? By the way, Twitter's been having some issues like the past couple of days. Like it was like 2 days ago or whatever, like Twitter wouldn't refresh. Like I kept trying to refresh it and I kept seeing it was the same tweets over and over. I don't know. That's been happening off and on where like it'll say can't load tweets, can't load messages, can't load. I don't know what's going on, but I wonder if he's actually going to plan on what's that, Wary? I think he'll flip it if he can get a good profit on it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering about that too, but I wish they could fix some of the glitches. If he gets the value up, he'll sell it. Interesting. They gotta fix those glitches first. Please fix those. And also, please get rid of, and I'll get back to the video, please get rid of the option where someone can just add you to a DM group without your approval. I really hate that. I really don't like when I get added to DM groups and I don't know any of these people in this group, but they can just do that. And I have no way to block it. Then if I hit leave group, then I look like an asshole because I left the group. And then it announces it to the group that you left the group. It says Sabby left. It's like they don't even try to make it, I don't know, discreet. Like, do you have to announce to everyone in this group that I don't know that I left this group? I hate that they do that. I hate it. Jeez.
That censored social media is a threat to democracy. He really believes that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I believe it too.
Yeah.
I just don't have $44 billion.
Right.
And even if I did, I'd be like, I don't want that heat.
Right. Right. Yeah. I don't think that's what I would spend it on, but no, he believes that. I think he also believes that the credibility of these companies can only be restored by telling people what they talk about in private or what they have been talking about, with the government and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So he might be right about that. We'll see, I guess.
I think he is. I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. There's an amazing amount of resistance against him. And, there's just the publicity campaign against him has been fascinating to watch. People go from thinking that Elon Musk is the savior that's bringing us these amazing electric cars and engineering new reusable rockets to he's an alt-right piece of shit who wants Donald Trump back in the office. And it's very wild.
But this is why I don't think you should put people on a pedestal, There's a lot of hero worship that happens, it seems to be in this country. And I don't think you should continue on doing that. I mean, some of us did that with Bernie, and look how that turned out. The
speed with which they can sort of shuffle somebody into the Hitler of the Month Club routine, right? Like, we've always done this with foreigners, whether it's Noriega or Saddam Hussein or Milosevic or Assad or whatever it is. Like, we have a playbook for cranking out negative information about foreigners who get in our way for whatever reason. But now we've kind of refined that technique for domestic people who are inconvenient. I think they did it with Trump, obviously. They try to do it with Tucker Carlson, with you. I mean, you got a taste of that for a few times.
Yeah, it's interesting,
right? And then
I never never understood that, by the way. Like, to me, it's like, if you don't like what someone's saying, then just don't listen to them. Don't follow them. Stop following them on Twitter. You know, it's weird. Like, some people, they'll tell me like, oh, I can't stand this person. But then I look on Twitter and like they follow them. like, oh my God, this person made such a bad tweet again. I'm like, why are you following them? Why are you reading their tweets? Why don't you just put them on mute and move on with your life? If you don't want to follow this person, if you don't want to see this person, if you don't like what they say, why don't you just ignore them and move on with your life? Why does it have to be your job to try to get this person removed from the entire platform? That was something I never really understood. It's just like, there are people I follow, there are people I don't follow. There are people I want to listen to, there are people I don't want to listen to. But I don't make it my duty to say, hey, let me see if I can get this person kicked off the platform. No, just tune out. Just tune out to them.
You know, with Elon, yeah, he went from being the guy who made electric cars sexy to, like, you know, something to the right of Viktor Orban in like 10 seconds. It's amazing.
It is amazing. And the narrative is spread through progressive people. Well, they'll just say it now. It's like they've reached the memo. The memo's got to them. And then I hear people in LA, I hear people that I know, like, oh, Elon's just so crazy. It's like something happened to him. He went nuts and he's a right winger now. Like, how? What are you saying? Like, what examples do you have? Like, they don't have an example. They just have this narrative that reached them as signal. Like, Elon bad now. Oh, right. Elon bad now. Elon bad now. Elon bad now. And they just start saying it. And you go, like, what examples are you using of, like, his behavior? Well, he let Trump back on the platform. Okay, well, the Taliban's there.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You don't have a problem with the Taliban? The Taliban just bought blue check marks. Do you know that?
Did they really?
Yes.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, they're buying blue check marks so they could be verified. The real terrorist. The fucking Taliban is on, and nobody has a problem with it. The CCP's on Twitter.
Right.
No one has a problem with it.
Right.
I haven't even seen Trump on Twitter, and I think that's because I'm not on Twitter as much anymore, but I never have, well, not since he was president. When he was on president, I saw him often pop up in my feed, but I haven't seen him pop up in my feed at all. So I don't know.
But they say, like, Trump, they'll let Trump back on. Look, Trump is hilarious. He's a ridiculous person. But don't you think it's better that his tweets get out there and then a bunch of people get to attack him in the tweets? And if those tweets that people attack him with are good, if people are saying good things, then those things get retweeted and liked, and then they rise up to the top of the algorithm. It's all good. Like, you need a voice against someone like that. You can't have that guy howling into the wind on some QAnon forum and all those wackos just so they're only talking to each other with no pushback at all. If you really don't like Trump, you want him on Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want that guy to have some pushback. You want people to be talking against what he's saying. You want Twitter, the real Twitter now, which will actually fact check everybody. They fact check Biden, right? They'll fact check him. So if he says something stupid, they'll go, no, that's not what's true. Here's what's true.
Right. And
that would be good.
And that was actually, for a while, Twitter's official policy. They had something called the public interest policy, which specifically laid out exactly what you said. Like, when a world leader, no matter who it is, says anything, we want it to be out there because we want it to be debated. We want people to see it. We want people to talk about it. We want people to reach conclusions about it.
It also gives you somewhat of a window into their mind and what they're thinking or what they may be planning. You know, that's another thing, because Trump had no filter, right? He's kind of known for that. He just says whatever comes to his mind. He just, like, says it. And I think that, you know, you get to see what people are thinking, what they're feeling, or what they may be planning for the future. So it gives you that little small window into their mind, so to speak. So I think you guys know how I feel about the censorship. I'm just like, again, if you don't like the people that are on that platform, don't follow those people. It's that simple. That's my take on that. But I think that it's even more dangerous when you don't know what they're thinking, what they're planning, what they're saying. I think that's even more scary, because you could, in a sense, forget about them or start to forget about them. And then when you're not thinking about it, they attack. It's just like, I don't know. It's just it's one of those things. Like I'd rather know what they're saying, you know?
And one of the things that we found in the Twitter files was after January 6th, there was this intense debate within the company where they were basically saying, oh, thank God we're going to repeal the public interest policy, or we're going to poke a hole in it, right? And no longer have that belief system that just because somebody is a world leader, we need to hear what they have to say. So they invented a new policy called glorification of violence, or they called it that. And essentially what they said was you had to look at Trump not in terms of each individual tweet, but in terms of what they called the context surrounding his whole career, all the people who followed him, whether or not they were violent, whether or not they said the things that were offensive. It's like the speech version of stochastic terrorism. I don't know if you ever heard that term. It's stochastic terrorism is this idea that you can incite people to violence by saying things that aren't specifically inciting, but are statistically likely to create somebody who will do something violent, even if it's not individually predictable.
That's interesting too, because I would think that like there's a number of things that people could say that depending on the person who's, reading the tweet or comment, it really depends on how that person takes it, Sometimes I've seen tweets too where it's obvious, like they're just being sarcastic. Like sometimes, like for example, Garland Nixon, a lot of times in his tweets, he's being sarcastic. Like, I don't know if you guys follow him, but he has the sarcasm that he uses a lot of times on Twitter. And I think it's really obvious to me that some people don't realize that. Because if you look at the replies, like to his tweets, I'm like, you realize he's being sarcastic, right? Like he's not being serious. It's a joke. So that's another thing too. It depends on how the person on the receiving end, how they take it, and what the person who wrote it actually meant and how the receiver receives it.
And that's what they did with Trump. They basically invented this concept that, yes, he may not have actually incited violence, but the whole totality of his persona is inciting. So we're going to strike him. And so they sort of massively expanded the purview of things they can censor just in that one moment.
Yeah. You can watch the full video here, and I'm pretty sure you can see the actual full episode on Spotify if you want to see, because these are like 3-hour conversations that Joe Rogan has with people. But this clip is 15 minutes. And again, it's called Matt Taibbi, Surprised by FBI and Twitter's collusion there. And one of the things that the Twitter files also revealed is that apparently they had planned to take Trump down anyway before the event in January. They had already planned to do it. Well.